Has anyone else noticed that a lot of the new drugstore makeup in 2023 is actually old drugstore makeup? This year, I've really noticed the trend of drugstore makeup brands kind of going back in the archives and re-releasing old products with new formulas, and today we're gonna play with some of them. A couple of these will look familiar because I've mentioned them in videos before, but I am trying a few of them for the first time today. So let's jump in, but first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. Welcome to my channel where we talk all things budget beauty. If that sounds interesting to you, then become the newest member of the Slashed Squad by hitting subscribe and the bell icon. So just FYI, I am already wearing the e.l.f. Wow Glow Sunscreen Primer. So there have been two reformulated drugstore foundations that have been released this year that I really like. The first being the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation, and then recently I've been wearing the Revlon Color Stay Longwear Makeup, especially in the summer. Now, as far as the Revlon foundation, the main difference between the old and new version is that the new formula has more hyaluronic acid for extra hydration and more comfortable of a wear. And I gotta say, even though this is the normal to dry skin version, it does still have a semi-matte finish, but it feels flexible, it feels comfortable. I have no problem wearing this, even though I'm not a huge fan of matte foundations anymore. This has definitely been a go-to for summer because it is transfer resistant and waterproof. I find that it holds up really, really well in the heat and humidity. But today I want to wear the L'Oreal True Match Foundation. So here's what changed with the new version of this product. First of all, they made the formula vegan. They also redid the shade name system. The old version had shade names that had to do with food, like, you know, deep chocolate, caramel, vanilla. I don't find that to be very helpful. And now the shades are just broken up into cool, warm, neutral. So for example, my shade is N3 neutral, light medium. So for me, I feel like that's so much more to the point. So I was really happy with that change because I think the biggest downside of shopping drugstore foundation is that you can't try it on first. The other big change is that it now has a pump. Before, if you remember, these came in like these tiny little bottles and it just had like a screw cap and it would just pour out of the bottle. The pump is so much better. It's just a no-brainer. With a pump, you don't have to worry about spills. You can portion out the product a lot better. Now, as far as this foundation in general, I absolutely love it, not only because it matches me beautifully, but it just looks so nice on the skin. It's smooth. I would say this is like medium plus coverage. You can definitely still see some discoloration and like a little bit of my blemish, but definitely a lot of coverage for how lightweight it is. It also lasts really well. It stays out of my expression lines. So I've really, really come to love this foundation. If you haven't tried the new version, I would definitely recommend it. Just gonna quickly fill in my brows. This next re-release reformulation I am excited about, but incredibly apprehensive. This is the new NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette in Warm Neutrals. So this may look familiar, and I have spoken about the original several times. The original palette, which looked like this, was consistently like the most popular, highest rated drugstore eyeshadow palette, and I don't know why. I have said several times that I've never really been a fan of NYX shadows and their formula. I think that in general, if you're gonna charge $20 for an eyeshadow palette, like the formula's gotta be on par at least with Morphe, and that palette absolutely was not. So here we have the new version, and it does look like we have all of the same shades, but even just looking at the shadows, this looks like a better formula. So let's give this palette a fair shot. I'm gonna prime with my Milani eyeshadow primer. So I'm gonna start out by dipping into this bone color. Do we have shade names? We do not. It just has shade numbers on the back. So this would be shade number 3. If you hadn't seen my videos where I talk about the original palette, my main gripe was that the shadows, I mean, they were just really old-fashioned formulas. I felt like they were incredibly stiff, sort of hard to blend, and particularly with the shimmers, they didn't go on very opaque. Almost all of them worked more like toppers. You could barely pick up any of the pigment with a brush, and using your finger didn't make things that much better. Okay, next I'm going in to shade 14, kind of this warm, light terracotta maybe? What would you describe that shade as? Okay. I can definitely say that this matte formula, so much smoother. Okay, so I won't lie, this actually went on with a lot more pigment than I expected. So I'm trying to soften it up a little bit. So far, not much to complain about. Next, I'm going into shade 8, which is this, I don't know, cappuccino brown. I will say that the colors are translating on the skin exactly how they look in the palette. So I'm definitely seeing all positive changes here. Okay, let's dig in to one of these shimmer shades. I think I'm gonna go for 15, and I am gonna try with my finger, and we'll compare it to a brush as well. Very soft and silky. I would actually take back what I said. These are definitely more satin shades, not shimmer or metallic or anything like that. So they're not super high impact with the reflectiveness, but they do add a little bit of something different to the texture. I do want to try applying with a brush on the other eye, see if we get the same smooth application and color payoff. I feel like it's still a bit more pigmented when you use your finger. Yeah, I feel like I'm not getting any of the satiny finish on this side. I'm just getting like the darker pigment. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, you get way better color payoff with your finger on this one. I'm gonna go into shade 9, which is sort of this golden champagne. I'm gonna tap it in my inner corner. Ooh, this is coming off way more pinky champagne than I thought. Okay, that definitely has way more impact than the original shade that this corresponds to. I'm gonna try this champagne for my brow bone. It is a little bit more golden, I believe. Yeah. Definitely an improvement for sure. All right, so here's the thing. These new NYX Ultimate Shadow Palettes, absolutely an improvement. In the year 2023, those old versions are just laughable, even at a drugstore level. But does this new formula justify the $20 price tag? It's just hard to justify that when you have so many better formulas being sold for the same amount or even less. So these new eyeliners landed in my mailbox last week and I'm so excited about them. These are the new Essence Stay and Play Gel Eyeliners. Now, I'm not sure, this has not been confirmed, and the brand does not say that these are a new version or a replacement of their extreme lasting eyeliner, but I'll tell you why I think they might be. First of all, I noticed that they're using the same shade names as some of the extreme lasting liners. For example, the brown is called But First Espresso, which is my most used shade in the extreme lasting pencil. Same with the silky nude shade, that corresponds to the old line. But they're also making very similar claims of being long lasting, waterproof, up to 16-hour wear. Now, when I go on the website, they are still selling the Extreme Last pencil, but it's just a hypothesis that they'll probably start phasing those out for these. There are more shades in this new version. The main formula difference that I'm seeing though is that these are labeled silicone free and the Extreme Lasting pencils are not. Even though my old pencil is old, I want to swatch them side by side just to compare the formulas. So here is the original, very pigmented, extremely rich and opaque. Let's check out the new version. Ooh. Okay, I felt like it glided on a lot easier with less pressure. Let's try waterlining with it, or tight lining on the waterline. That is definitely one way that I use the Extreme Last pencils the most. Yeah, nice and rich on the waterline. No tugging, no skipping. I'm also gonna put it in my outer corner and sort of wing it out with a brush. Definitely wanna see the blendability of this formula since it is a gel. The thing is, the Extreme Lasting pencils are like ride or dies for me. I didn't really see much room for them to improve. If anything, these feel like they have a bit of a thinner consistency, a little bit more glidey maybe, but I mean, they're very, very similar. I really love a good pencil wing that kind of just fades. I would say maybe these might be a little bit easier to blend as well. Like you have a little bit more playtime with them before they dry down, which is always nice when you're doing what I'm doing here and kind of smoking them out. I will say that the originals, although I could do this, you'd have to work a little fast. That would probably be the main improvement, if any, that I'm seeing here. Just gonna lightly blend whatever's left on my brush on the lower lash line, just in the outer corner. Ooh, I love how this look is coming together. So far, working with this formula is very easy, very quick. Like I mentioned, it is not confirmed whether or not these are replacing the old ones, but some of the signs are pointing that way, if you know what I mean. Before moving on to the next re-release, I'm just gonna finish up my look quickly. I'll list all the makeup I'm using today in the description. If you watched my video from last month on all of ColourPop's new releases, then you may know that they've been re-releasing old products like crazy. They particularly have been taking old products that were brand favorites but improving on the formula, as well as taking old products that people just did not like and they didn't really live up to their claims and making those better too. So if you want to see all of what they're re-releasing, go watch that video, but today I want to focus on their Ultra Glossy Lip. So they actually reformulated their entire ultra lip line. So the ultra matte, the ultra blotted, and the ultra glossy lips. So now all of the formulas contain collagen promoting plum kakadu, antioxidant rich sweet cherry oil, and smoothing yuzu and Japanese sumac to help moisturize the lips. So before I apply this, I do want to use one of their lippy pencils. This is in the shade Hella. I just like to blend a lip pencil on lightly before I use gloss. And the shade that I'm using today in the glossy lip is Hit Snooze. I did that 3 times this morning. This is like a mauvey brown. I love this formula. It is so cushy. It is not sticky at all. You can touch your lips together and there's not the slightest bit of hold. Yeah, I don't know if I ever got around to wearing a lot of the original glossy lip formula, but I will say I absolutely love this one. It is so comfortable. It almost has a lip oil kind of feel to it because you can feel it sort of sinking into your lips and hydrating them. But yeah, this is one of a few new re-releases from ColourPop, so definitely check them out. So I want to know, what do you think of brands reformulating and re-releasing old product? Because I've actually heard both pros and cons to this. Obviously with the pros, there's a lot of great reasons to reformulate a product, to make it better, to kind of bring it up to date, and also making customers feel heard and implementing their feedback that they've given on a certain product throughout the years. But I've also heard the cons, particularly in the foundation category, where, you know, some people, they find a foundation they love and it matches them, and then something changes and it's not the same. And on that note, I've had people DM me saying, you know, this used to be my holy grail, but the formula changed, now it just does not work for me. I want to know what you think. Tell me in the comments. Today's shout out goes to Chanel. Thanks for being a member of the Slashed Squad. And join me over in this video next, which is my updated list of the best drugstore mascaras. I'll see you over there. Bye.